Chronic pain solutions. I want to talk about non-drug solutions for chronic pain. At least what we'd like to do is those of you in chronic pain, maybe we can help you feel at least a little bit better, and that's the subject here. I'm going to talk about foundation, an important foundation in just a moment of what you need to do if you're in chronic pain. And then we're going to list off some effective solutions that I've been using in my chiropractic office for 25 years. First off, I want to start off with foundation. Foundation means you have to start with this first before you're going to do any of the other techniques and therapies and so forth. You have to have a good foundation set before you're going to have those therapies become effective. Here's what I mean when I say the word foundation. Foundation is a mindset. You have to have your brain emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically set up for success. For success in chronic pain is the foundation. And I have so much experience with thousands of people that if they don't have this foundation, we really struggle to get them better. And I see that as a major problem and a major hurdle. I'm finding in my chiropractic office right now, I'm spending more and more time on people's mindset, on people's brain, on people's emotional and mental activities than I am doing the physical stuff. I actually find the physical stuff is easy. Delivering the chiropractic care, showing exercises, showing us how to move our body, doing the ergonomic things, all the hundreds of shows that I've done for you in the past, that's almost easier. I find that if we're running into a block and people are not getting better, is they're not committed in their mental and emotional mind to get well. They don't have that wellness mindset set in their mind. One person that is new to me now, I've actually known of him, his name is Bruce Lipton. He's a cellular biologist. I haven't really dug into his information until about the past month. He has a book, The Biology of Belief, and I listened to the audiobook recently. I've actually listened to it a few times because it's so awesome. So put a tag out there for yourself. Go get The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. You can also hear some of his speeches and presentations online if you go to YouTube and put in Bruce Lipton. Fantastic information. And what he does now, he's a cellular biologist, so he's going to talk about cells. And he talks about cells as the foundation of your body. If you think of it, our body is just one big cell. That's all we are. We're just a big cell. And if you look at the building blocks of us as being a big cell, we come up and we're a bunch of little tiny cells. Do you follow? So if you look at in our body, we have all tiny cells, and if you put a bunch of cells together, you get a gland or tissue, and then if you put a bunch of those cells together, you get organs and then systems, and then you get us, right? So it's just a bunch of building blocks. If you look at this building that I'm in right now, it looks like this amazing structure when you see the finished product. When you break it down, it's just a bunch of blocks and pieces, right? So that's what Bruce Lipton is talking about with our body. So then he says, well, if we're just one big cell with a bunch of little cells, then what's going on in our environment, environmental stimuli, is affecting us on a cellular level. Then he translates that into, well, what are environmental stimuli and signals? What do they come from? They come from thought. Our thoughts are significantly determining the function of our cells. That's an amazing revelation. It's incredible. That brings me back to when I told you the story about Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale was the first personal motivational speaker that I listened to almost 30 years ago now. And he had a statement that he came up with in his late 20s, which is, we become what we think about. So I've known that for 30 years. You know this as I'm telling you this right now. We become what we think about. But it never hit me until this year that literally what we're thinking about affects us on a cellular level, which will affect every single portion of our health, every neurotransmitter, every chemical, every hormone, the healing process, inflammation, how our brain is going to work, the efficiency of our body. If we have physical goals, athletic goals, it's going to affect that, right? Why are so many top athletes and Olympians doing meditation as an example? Because they realize controlling their thoughts to the best ability that they have is going to absolutely affect their outcome. It doesn't matter if we're a mom or a dad or a teacher or a grandparent. It doesn't matter what it is. If we want to become the best version of ourselves, we have to have the foundation of a mindset set for success. In the state of chronic pain, we have to make that determination. We have to draw the line in the sand that says, no more, I'm not going to be this way anymore. I'm going to step forward and step up, and I'm going to do the things that it's necessary to get my body to heal. And now I'm giving you that piece. Well, how does it work? Bruce Lipton teaches us that when we think, it generates nerve chemistry, neurochemical hormones. That's going to shift what's going on in your brain. Your brain has regulatory control on all other systems in your body, including your immune system. Bruce Lipton reminds us that when the holidays come around, and let's say if you live in a colder climate, so the weather's colder, you tend to be under more pressure and challenge around the holidays. You might be spending it with time with people that you don't want to spend time with. Maybe these people are toxic. And then you're not sleeping as much, and then you're eating bad things, and you're drinking too much alcohol, and all this kind of stuff. And then what happens? The flu season hits. Really? Really? So the flu season hits right around that time. I wonder if it's because we're depressing our immune system because we have too much cortisol that has shut down our immune system and calmed our immune system. I think that that's it. And what is it all? It's all mindset. It's all stress from not having that foundation of saying, I'm going to take control of this, and I'm going to control my holidays, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to cruise through that. So now we already know that what we're thinking about affects our immune system function, right? We need to change that. So if we have chronic pain, what is pain? Pain is just a nerve chemical. It's just certain nerve endings talking to other nerve endings that say, ouch, that go to your brain, that do that. If we can shift that into another chemical paradigm, then we're going to go into the opportunity of healing. Let's say we have musculoskeletal aches and pains. Let me give you an example. This happened to me just this week in my chiropractic office. Just this week, I came into work with a patient, and I asked her, how's your lower back doing? And she said, excellent. I said, wait a minute, excellent? What happened? Literally, I saw her a few weeks ago. And she said, I'm not stressed anymore. Now, I've been working with her for over a year. We took this chronic lower back condition. We got it somewhat better with the chiropractic, home exercises, changes in ergonomics, and so forth, right? She got some better, but she had lingering aches and stiffness and pain. And I come in, and all of a sudden, the switch got flicked. I said, what happened? Well, I have no more stress anymore. She had job stress, but it was job stress not because she didn't like her job. She had been searching for a job for quite some time, couldn't find the full-time job that was going to satisfy her, so she actually had economic stress. Do you follow? That's mental and emotional stress that she had changed her nerve chemistry in her brain, making her have more perception of lower back pain coming from her lower back, and now she has backaches. As soon as that turned around, she got herself a full-time job that she needed and wanted, pain went away. Isn't that amazing? Spontaneous healing from all of these chronic diseases and disorders that people have. Somebody is given a death sentence by their doctor. You have 3 months to live or 6 months to live, and the person lives 30 years. Must have been spontaneous healing. Really? Maybe the person made an absolute commitment and they used perseverance and concentration and focus and an undying, relentless commitment to get their body to turn around. They said, my life is not over again, and I'm going to do this. Well, guess what? If you have chronic pain, that's exactly what you need to do. That is the foundation. You can do the nutrition thing, the chiropractic thing, the supplement thing, the good rest thing, and so forth, and not get better because you don't have the foundation, the mindset that I will do this, and I'm going to do anything it takes to get there. And then I'm going to have more joy in my life, more love, more compassion, lots of forgiveness, incredible kindness. When somebody attacks me, I'm going to look at them and give them forgiveness. I'm going to give them love. I'm going to give them more of compassion. I'm going to send that person love instead of letting their attacking me adversely affect me. If somebody cuts you off in a car, you can decide because that's what emotions are. You have a decision. I can be mad at that person. I can respond to them in a like manner, or I can smile it off and say, I'm going to send you love. I'm going to send you compassion. It sounds weird to do that, doesn't it? Nobody wants to do that in the beginning, right? But if you think about it, if you get stressed and angry and pressure, does that affect them? I'm going to send them hate and anger. Who does that affect? That only affects you. That doesn't affect them. And it's not going to change their behavior at all. They're not going to all of a sudden become a very courteous driver. And they're going to drive fantastic. And they'll never cut anybody else off if I get angry at them. No way. Now when somebody cuts you off, you're going to laugh. Wouldn't that be great? Somebody cuts you off and you laugh. That'd be fantastic. I've had patients of mine do that. When they watch my show here, they start laughing when people cut them off. What a great thing to do. Now that's a little thing, but that little thing can translate into bigger things, right? If you don't like the toxic work, well, you better change your mindset in there as you begin your search to find other work that is more meaningful and more rewarding and more appropriate for you. During that transition time where you need to move from that job to another one, because again, 75% of the people in this country hate their job. I don't think my staff do. I've asked them in the past. But anyway, so if you hate that, you need to get out of that toxic environment. You need to sit down with the family and have multiple family meetings about information like I'm sharing with you right now to reduce the stress. I have other patients that I've worked on that have serious chronic illnesses, and they will call family meetings or they will come in and visit with me, and we have to talk to them and say, we need everyone around this person on board, that we're going to make a commitment that this is a healing environment moving forward. All aspects of the life, all aspects of home, whatever the situation might be, is going to be all about healing. Everyone is on board. Anybody who contacts that person has a full team of people around them. They're going to be completely committed to saying healing is the only thing and this must happen. Taking one of the things from Tony Robbins says, if you want to make a change in your life, it can't be, I hope that this will happen. He says, no, that will never happen. You'll be totally frustrated. He says it must be a must. It has to be a must. I must do this. I will do this. I'm not going to hope that I'm going to get better. That's the foundation you have to have. Healing has to be a must, not a hope, is borrowing that from Robbins. Living more in love, compassion, forgiveness, kindness, joy, beauty, energy. That's what you need to look for in life, because that's what life is all about. And that's the only way that you're going to make that healing happen, is making sure that you have that foundation. I'm going to move forward. I am committed to this. This is what's going to happen. This is going to be the way. The line in the sand, it is a must, and then you move forward. Whatever it takes to get there too in the foundation, if you need to write things down, if you need to send notes to others that are going to help you along this pathway of getting better, that's what you need to do. I'm working with dozens of patients actively in my office right now that have chronic stress. And I know, and I tell them, I will tell them on every visit, until you change this, you're going to continue suffering. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I am telling that, of course, because I want them to know the truth. I want them to know that the only way that they're going to get better is with the appropriate foundation and getting better. Chiropractic will help them to a certain extent, and the other therapies that I have in my office, and my home recommendations, and my nutrition recommendations, and the supplement stuff, and the rest, and the deep breathing, and whatever it might be. All of that stuff is important too, which we'll get into. But the key is the foundation. I will tell them over and over and over again. And I'll give them strategies, and that's the strategies that we're going to talk about now. So then the next part of this is stress, right? Stress is related to your foundation. I don't like the word stress, because now stress is kind of like the word cancer, right? You hear the word cancer, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a death sentence, I'm going to die. You see how all those negative emotions that we have to the word cancer, right? We have these negative emotions to stress. Well, stress can be very positive. Dr. Peter Prococo and I did a couple of shows on that here in 2017 that were fantastic, that explored this in great detail. You can go to my YouTube page and watch those if you'd like. But stress usually has that negative thing. Stress means pressure. That's what I like to change stress to. Stress is pressure and challenge. Think of this. Let's say we are Olympic athletes and we train for our entire life, right? To that moment where we come up to and we make it through the semis and the quarterfinals and the semifinals and all that kind of stuff. And now we're on the main stage of whatever event it might be, and we need to perform, okay? That performance is going to happen with stress. Do you think those athletes are feeling stress? Well, they're feeling stress in a way that it's a challenge and it's pressure to perform to their life's best ability at that moment in time. Along the way, they have developed their own strategies on getting there. It'd be like a pro baseball player with the rituals that they have before they're stepping up to play to get ready to try to hit that 100-mile-an-hour fastball, or whatever the situation is. I've mentioned this before, looking at the Olympic snowboarders or the bobsledding athletes, and they're in their mind, they're doing their meditations of imagining that perfect run happening. So that's a meditation way of amping up their brain, getting ready for that situation. So that would be a good stress. The other stresses in your life, we need to change them to challenges and pressures. Challenges and pressures to make you become a better version of you, of what you are now, to make you become a better person. Extracting the lesson and the learning out of different challenges that you have, whether it's from a significant other or children or work, whatever it might be, extracting that information out is what you need to do. So then we need strategies on how to learn how to change our mindset, right? You probably follow everything that I'm talking about right now. Well, that's fine, Dr. Fuller. I understand that. I need to change my mindset. Well, how do I do that? Great question. I'm glad you asked. So the idea is this. We need strategies. We need to be helped and taught and mentored to have those abilities to be able to change our thought. One person can go to a party and look at two people fighting and say, wow, that party was really intense. You know, those people were really going at it, right? Or you could go to a party and see a couple of people in love. You could say, wow, that was a wonderful party. It was all about love. It could be the same party. It depends on what your camera is focusing on at the moment in time. And Tony Robbins has used that as an example many times. It's a great example, okay? We can look at the person cutting off us in the car as stress or as a joke or a learning experience, right? So it begins to shift our way that we're going to perceive events. Somebody calls you a bad name and attacks you, then you have to realize, okay, I'm going to up my game to be even better. That's what that person is calling me out to be even stronger and more loving and more passionate, whatever that you're trying to do. If you write a report for work or school and it comes back with less than a favorable grade, even though you thought it was a fantastic job, one of the best things you ever did, in that person's eyes, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just a signal that says, I thought you were going to give me my best, but if that's not your best, you're better than that. Maybe the grade that was not as good as the grade you thought you were going to get was, again, the challenge that said, you didn't give it all you can, go back and do it again. You're like, absolutely, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show this person what I'm really made of. Wouldn't that be a great shift? That's just an example of thousands that I could give you. Who else can help us change that mindset? Who can give us some tools in doing that? Well, Bruce Lipton would be one. Tony Robbins is one of my favorite personal development, emotional intelligence experts out there. You may or may not like Tony Robbins, that doesn't matter. His material is fantastic, so check it out. If you'd like to get introduced to Tony Robbins and you have not yet, one suggestion I have for you is go into YouTube and type in Tony Robbins Super Soul Sunday. Tony Robbins Super Soul Sunday. And that would be his presentation this year in 2017 that he did for Oprah's group. It's a little over an hour and it's really good. And profanities have been, a couple of profanities in there have been bleeped out. So it's, let's call it PG rated, I suppose. Okay, so that'd be one way to do it. If you like Tony Robbins, he has a couple of newer programs. One is called Ultimate Edge. Great program. I have it myself, listened to it a few times. He also has the Ultimate Relationship Program. A lot of us are challenged with our relationships, right? So he will give you a long dissertation of things that you can do to make your relationships better. Not just with your significant other, but anybody around you, whether it's a good friend or coworkers or children and so forth. If you can tolerate profanities, his documentary movie in 2016 is I Am Not Your Guru, and that's on Netflix. Now, just as a warning, there are a lot of profanities on that show. He will tell you why he uses them, but again, that's there, and that is an incredible program. I've watched it 3 times myself. I mentioned Earl Nightingale to you. Earl Nightingale has a program called Lead the Field, one of my favorites. I've listened to it dozens of times. Les Brown has a lot of programs that I like. The name of his program or a book is Aim for the Stars, because even if, shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you land among the stars. That's just such a great metaphor. Just go for it. Be the best you can be. And even if you don't get that thing that you were aiming for, you get great things anyways in your life, right? And as opposed to just always holding back. Jim Rohn has great programs out there as well. Napoleon Hill in the book Think and Grow Rich, you can also get an audiobook. Now, Think and Grow Rich, it's not just about being rich monetarily. Think and grow rich is back to our foundation. Now we're talking about chronic pain right now. I know that. But we're giving you the foundation that you have to build upon to be ready for your body to heal. Remember that as you're healing your body, your cells are producing new cells. If your cell is already sick and toxic, it's going to produce a what kind of cell? A sick and toxic cell. But if you start to change your thoughts and you start to change the neurotransmitters and the nerve impulses and so forth, and the immune system effects and the inflammatory effects of the non-inflammatory effects on that cell's a little bit better, because the genetic expression of that cell, which can be changed epigenetically, the genetic expression of this cell is going to be a little bit better, so the next cell is better. And then the next one is better, and so forth, right? And all we are is a collection of cells, as I said. So if the new group of cells are better than the old ones, then that's when healing happens. But if you continue the toxicity of thought, the inappropriate thoughts, the new cells are not going to be any better than the old ones. You stay in chronic pain, you see? That's why changing this is so important. Dr. Kim Duramo is someone new to me as well. She's doing great work. She is all about mind-body medicine, even though she was medically, classically trained. And she will tell her story that she had chronic problems, went to dozens of doctors, many, many tests. Nobody could appropriately diagnose it. Once she figured out it was stress and the way I was thinking, she turned her life around. Now she's all about mind-body medicine. Great stuff. I was listening to one of her videos just yesterday. drkimduramo.com, D-E-R-A-M-O. Good stuff. miraclecenter.org with Dr. Gerald Jampolsky and Dr. Diane Cerencioni. I was introduced to them as they were interviewed on Tony Robbins' program. Great stuff. Look them up. Fantastic information. And of course, don't forget that movie, Finding Joe the Movie, which is, the website is findingjoethemovie.com. Great movie. It was so impressive to me. I watched it 3 times in 1 week. So go and do that stuff. Remember that stress is how you're perceiving your environment. No one can stress you out without your consent, meaning stress is something we interpret from the events around us. Another book that I wanted to remind you of, I haven't mentioned this one in a little while, Dan Harris. Dan Harris is a newscaster. He was made famous by having a meltdown on national TV. He had an anxiety attack. Well, he turned that around and he wrote a book called 10% Happier, 10% Happier, How I Tamed the Voice in My Head, Reduce Stress Without Losing My Edge, and Found Self-Help That Actually Works. Just keep in mind that his book and audiobook does have some adult themes in there, and if I remember correctly, some profanity. So just keep in mind that that has an R rating to it. So, but it was a fantastic book and journey, and you can listen to a little bit of them online as well. Lastly, before we move into some of the mechanics, is look at people that had a really challenging childhood and then became beautiful, motivating, inspirational people. Tony Robbins for one, Oprah Winfrey being another, Les Brown is another, Wayne Dyer is another, and the list goes on and on. That's just a few, right? Captain Gerald Coffey, I remember listening to his program years ago. He was shot down in Vietnam, flying aircraft, and was held as a prisoner of war for 7 years. And he came out of that, and he was a beautiful, successful, forgiving person after that. Look up his stuff. Viktor Frankl, of course, surviving the Holocaust. Enough said there. Nelson Mandela, who was imprisoned for 27 years, and again, came out and did wonderful things. Team Hoyt, Rick and Dick Hoyt, Team Hoyt. It's just such an inspirational story coming from the Boston area. And in 1977, when Rick, with cerebral palsy, inspired Dad to push him in a wheelchair and run their first 5-mile race, and they came in second to last. And then Rick said, "I don't feel disabled when I'm running." That's what he told his father. And then, of course, their whole life blossomed from there. And they did thousands of events, including an Ironman triathlon with Dad, Dick, pulling his son in a raft, if you don't know the story, pulling his son in a raft for 2.4 miles. And then cycling with him on the bike for 112 miles, and then pushing him for a 26-mile marathon. And I think they did 7 Ironmans or something like that, with thousands of other road races and triathlons and so forth. If you talk about inspiration, wow, that's just enough, right? Get the mindset, have the foundation, all the other pieces will fall in line, because you're going to make better decisions in your life moving forward if you have that mindset. Let's talk about some other mechanical things too. Chiropractic. Now, if you need some chiropractic inspiration on that, it takes time when you're in chronic pain to get better, go to my website, drscottfuller.com, and then read some inspirational stories from Gail and John and Susan and Heather and Holly and Bernadette, people that had chronic problems, not knowing if their problems were ever going to get better. And we worked them and worked them some more and worked them again, and we talked and thought and shared and taught and thought and shared and got the mindset, and they worked with it, and they stayed committed, and they stayed passionate, and they stayed focused, and they had the grit and they had the determination, and they got there. Great work, unbelievable stuff with the chiropractic. A lot of people with chiropractic, they make the mistake of quitting too soon. They say, if I'm not better in a day or a week, Dr. Fuller, I'm out of here. And I say, well, it's not going to work like that if you're going to try to be an Olympian. If you're 5 years old and you want to be an Olympian, then what you need to do is realize it's going to take you decades to get there. So you work day in and day out. A lot of us don't see that. All we see is the amazing performances. But of course, that comes from that absolute commitment to making that happen. I have a laser, a therapeutic laser in my office, which has just worked wonders for people. It's a class 3B laser, so it does not generate heat. You can look it up online. The one that I have is called from the company called Erchonia, E-R-C-H-O-N-I-A, erchonia.com. Look up my laser. I have amazing laser stories. I think about the 87-year-old woman that I've mentioned to in the past, all hunched over like this, just in terrible, terrible shape. Terrible low back pain and sciatica. She couldn't even lie on my table. She sat on my table. I did a little light instrument work and the laser, and in 6 months, we knocked her low back pain and leg pain out. Fantastic. I use it on bone fractures. I use it on sprains and strains. I use it on gastrointestinal injuries. I use it on concussions and mild traumatic brain injury. Lots of aspects for laser. Look into that if you have chronic pain and you haven't tried it. Nutrition matters. Nutrition is very, very important to you. Most of the doctors, many of the doctors out there will not talk about nutrition as related to chronic pain, but remember, if you're chronically stressed, you make bad decisions. One of the bad decisions is you might eat food that's going to not support your health and wellness moving forward. So you have to clean up your nutrition, and if you do, inflammation comes down. If inflammation comes down, your brain runs better, and you have less pain, which means your body has an opportunity to heal. Nutrition matters. You have to look at that. It's very difficult, but very rewarding. It's more difficult to be suffering from chronic pain. So does that mean that you have to eat foods that don't taste good? No, you can eat foods that taste good. It's just going to be a shift from where you are now. Getting enough sleep, enough and regular sleep matters. You need enough sleep to heal. In this country, we have a chronic deprivation of sleep. We have to work on that. I recommend if you're having trouble sleeping, you need to be a better sleep environment. Go to Dr. Mercola's website, mercola.com, and type in his search box 33 sleep recommendations. That'll be a nice list of little things that you can do, simple things, to get your sleeping environment a little bit better. I've talked about water in the past. Water is important. Just picking a number out of thin air, I would say 80% of the patients that come into my office are chronically dehydrated, and I would say that's a pretty good snapshot of the population. You should be drinking half your body weight in ounces each day. Now, if you're drinking only a little bit, don't drown yourself the first day, and also check with your doctor if you're on medications. Check with your doctor if you're on medications if you're going to be upping your water. But water is important. We're 75% water, our entire body. If you're dehydrated, every cell is dehydrated, and it's not going to work right. There are anti-inflammatory supplements that you need to work with. Omega-3 fish oil, antioxidant compounds, vitamin D, probiotics, and on the list goes. Work with somebody that is knowledgeable on supplements. They can help you. Food is not as nutritious now as it used to be. There are other options that you have. You can do massage, acupuncture, physical therapy, stress reduction coaching. Tony Robbins' organization has coaching. Meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, a little bit of everything I just mentioned. Dabble into different things. Find things that work for you, and that will definitely assist you in the chronic pain healing. So your wellness plan will consist of having that mindset foundation that is the most important, which is going to reduce your stress. Consider the chiropractic and laser thing. You need clean diet and enough water. Make sure you look at the exercise, the sleep, and the other options like massage and meditation and Qigong and so forth. I'm Dr. Scott Fuller. Please join me again.